Can't see any reason for this band to burn out because we don't do anything that would burn us out. Except... Part 2. I think that's what makes Van Halen different, is because it is full-blown, to the bone, to the floor, pedal to the metal music, and sound-wise, energy-wise, but yet there's that little tender respect where you just don't step on another person to make yourself step out farther, that's all.
To begin at the beginning, the Van Halen brothers were born in Holland. Their jazz musician father encouraged them to study classical music, but when the family relocated to California, it wasn't long till they developed a taste for rock and roll.
We took piano lessons for years, you know, 6, 8 years, something like that. When I first heard Glad All Over, I'm going, I want to play drums, you know? But then, you know, I had to pay for the drum kit that I bought. While I'm out throwing the papers, my brother's playing my drums, and he got better. You know, so, and he was taking another respectable flamenco guitar kind of deal. So I said, okay, you take my drums, I'll play your guitar. You know, we went on from there.
The same cavalier attitude in choosing a musical instrument was shared by the Van Halen brothers' soon-to-be bassist, Michael Anthony.
By the time I was about 14 years old, everybody in school was either picking up a guitar or drums or whatever, and the circle of friends I knew, nobody played bass, so they said, well, here you go, Mike, you can play bass. So I go, okay, take the top 2 strings off the guitar, and there I go, you know.
And it was simple altruistic tendencies that earned Anthony his place in the band.
The way we met was we were playing the same bill, if you want to call it then, you know, playing a high school auditorium, and our PA had broken down, and Mike just let us use his, and we befriended him, and he came around, and before you know it, he was in the band.
By the late 1970s, the band, with showman and mouthpiece David Lee Roth on vocals, was making a name for themselves on the LA club circuit. They caught the attention of one of hard rock's premier performers, Kiss's Gene Simmons.
He was looking for a band that he could take and mold, you know, take under his wing and produce and whatever.
He goes, can't take a record deal? Do you have a manager? I'm going, no. What's a manager? What's a record deal?
He did have an idea at one point to change the name of the band to Daddy Longlegs. he had this picture of a spider in a top hat.
Yeah, he's going, I want to make a tape, man. Come on, you guys are the next biggest thing. And I'm going, okay.
That's kind of what really got the ball rolling back here in town. You know, these people go, well, we get little pressings going. This is the band that Gene Simmons secretly flew to New York to produce an album with, and whatever. And at that point, you know, a lot of people were like starting to really take interest in the band.
A record deal quickly followed, and the release of their first album in 1978 launched a string of platinum LPs. Then in 1984, they scored their first #1 single, Jump. At the height of their success, lead singer David Lee Roth left the band to pursue a solo career. But barely missing a beat, Van Halen encountered their next high-powered vocalist in an unorthodox way.
Eddie called me from our mutual mechanic. We were both kind of car fanatics, right? And we had a mutual mechanic, the Claudio, the old guy, and Eddie called me right from Claudio's. I mean, called me right from the joint. He was picking up his car, I guess, and my car was there, and he went, hey, who's Boxers? Oh, it's Sammy Hagar. You should get him in the band. And Eddie said, what's his number? You know? And it was almost that stupid. Yeah, it was almost that stupid, but... and, you know, it wasn't like magic on the phone. I thought, you know, the image of Van Halen, I thought these guys are probably really going to be egomaniacs, you know, the guys that thinks they're really hot, you know, and I thought, you know, and here I am like that already. I said, well, this ain't going to work. So I went, yeah, I think, you know, I don't know, I'll go down and check it out. What the hell?
Although he was already a star, having fronted the 70s rock outfit Montrose and recorded solo albums, Hagar proved to be an inspired choice.
Sammy sat down. I remember he'd listen to the music, and we were just kind of laying some stuff down on tape. And he goes, yeah, and he came in and sang, and it was like, just blew us away. In fact, a lot of the stuff that they originally sang right off the cuff there ended up going into songs.
Oh, me, I'm a scatterer. I'm a musician. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, I'm going to pat myself on the back, but I'm a musician. I don't have to have anything to sing. If I hear music, I can be another instrument. And that's what I did. I came in, I'm just going, you know, I'm singing anything. And half the words I made up were used on summer nights. Didn't we?
The addition of Sammy Hagar did more than replace one blonde with another. The band flourished with their next two chart-topping albums, 5150 and OU 812, two albums that showcased Van Halen's musical diversity.
I think part of what makes it interesting with us when we do go to different styles of music is that we still are four-piece. The reason I say four-piece is because the vocals are also, we treat that as an instrument. And that way, even if we were to do Latin stuff, which takes it takes many more people to pull that off. You know, you gotta have a brass section, you gotta have 5 guys playing drums, and so what we do is distill it, and so you have a flavor of some kind of music, but without making it sound like we directly stole it or tried to copy it or do that kind of routine.
Come on, baby, finish what you started. Oh, I'm incomplete. That ain't no way to treat the broken-hearted. Ow! Come on and finish that.
But having survived for so many years is the result of more than just musical invention.
It's respect for each other, and they had it before me, and they still have it. It's like everyone does their thing, and no one steps on each other's toes. It's a real graceful thing.
Debuting at #1, Van Halen's provocatively titled 1991 album, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, went double platinum in record time, proving once again that controversy breeds success.
With all the censorship and stuff, Sammy had this idea, and he thought, yeah, let's just call the album, you know? And, you know, boop. But, and it was Boom Boom Mancini, the boxer. He's a good buddy of Sammy's, and he said, you know what that word actually stands for? Yeah, and it's for unlawful carnal knowledge. And the fact that we dug through the law books and found out that that's what it means, it's, you know, it's an acronym for it.
Even more blatant than the album's name are some of the song titles, but Sammy Hagar is quick to point out that one in particular, In and Out, is not what it may seem.
It's about my nephew that got killed in a car wreck, and his father's worked for me since 1976. It just happened recently, so he went in to pay for it. I took him down to the funeral place, and he went in to pay because I could say, I can't afford it, man. It's like, you know, $3,700 or something. I just, no problem, Buck. But then he goes, man, it costs more to go out than it costs to come in. And I thought, yeah, you know, you can be born for about $2,600. The cheapest way to get out is $37. Man, I said, we ought to do this in concert. We ought to charge these people to get out. So it's really true, though. It's just kind of a sad thing. I think that should be a given. If you die, you shouldn't have to make your last payment, you know?
Another red herring on the album is its first track, Pound Cake.
It's just about my kind of woman. I just nicknamed it Pound Cake, which is plain, simple. You know what you got, you know what it is, There's, you know, not too many secrets to it. You know, it ain't covered up with a bunch of stuff. It's like, you know, you get this crepe Suzette, right? So you finally go, wait a minute, is this strawberry? What is it? You know, you got to eat 4, and then pretty soon you go, man, this is a pancake, you know, with some sour cream in it, you know? So I like to know what I'm eating. With Van Halen, I think you know that we're going to give something pretty damn good, you know. As good as this album is as good as we could make at this point in our life, and hopefully the next one we can do even better.
Universally considered a guitar virtuoso, Eddie Van Halen's effortless style reflects his attitude toward his craft.
I just kind of approach the guitar like, what else can it do? I pretty much taught myself, and I don't think I'd be playing the way I did if I was taught properly.
Eddie's innovative guitar work has been imitated but never duplicated. In his pursuit of the perfect sound, Eddie has designed his own limited edition guitar.
I really want a guitar that I could play on tour and on the records. That's exactly what I want. You know, not what other companies would think I want.
It's kind of a boring-looking guitar, but at the same time, I didn't want some, like, VX crazy-looking thing, you know? It's real balanced, it's real comfortable to play, and it's basically what I wanted to do is just build, like, 20 guitars just for myself.
The quality of the guitar is great, you know, and hopefully 10 years down the road, it'll be, like, respected and looked at like a Les Paul is nowadays.
Until I joined the band, honestly, I didn't realize how important Alex and Michael were. And starting with Michael with his voice for the harmony, he is the background vocal sound in Van Halen. Like it or not, it's Michael. If you don't like it, it's Michael. If you like it, well, it's me.
When I first joined Van Halen, part of the reason was I'd been lead singing in bands back then, and I was thinking, well, Ed sings, and Al even sings background, and I'll just play bass, you know, that'd be great. And then all of a sudden I started singing again.
Like Eddie, Michael designed his own guitar, putting a little more emphasis on aesthetics.
I fancy a little nip of Jack Daniels every now and then. And the whole thing led to the building of this Jack Daniels bass that I had. Because everybody ribbed me about it so much, said, you ought to build a bass that looks like a Jack Daniels bass guitar. I go, yeah, right, okay. So I did it, and it was just like a little novelty thing. But the bass sounded halfway decent, and I ended up using it for a few songs in the show. And once the Jack Daniels people caught wind of what I was doing, they became kind of interested, and they asked if they could do the graphics for it. And in turn, they wanted a picture of the bass and me to hang in their Hall of Fame down there at the distillery.
The thing about Alex is that I didn't realize how powerful he was until I walked into the studio. He's big and bad, and he's about the most intense, powerful drummer I've ever played with.
I'm just trying to remember what it was I was going to do in the solo, you know? Each time we tour, do something a little different. You know, last time I went overboard with, it was really 3 drum sets glued together. The stage rotated, and whichever one happened to face forward was the one I played. Not that it really makes any difference, you know, not that it makes it a better performance, but as long as you're going to do it, you know, do it to the top of the building. What the hell?
I approached the drums not as an instrument per se, but more an attitude of viciously attacking something.
As far as the band's 4th instrument goes, when recording, Sammy Hagar insists that his vocals complement the band, not overpower it.
I don't let my voice way out front. You know, like a lot of singers, hey, my voice is buried in the mix. You know, when you listen to Van Halen records, it's like, you know, it's almost right on the border for me. I like it tucked in the track, you know. I'm still insecure about the way I sing.
With 2 brothers in the group, Van Halen may be the only band on Earth in which insecurities and envy go hand in hand with success.
I'm so jealous of that. It's like, for me, I have a brother, and if we were in a band together, it'd be the same thing. You love him, you hate him, you want to kill him, but if somebody else comes involved, you'll kill them. The 2 of them will turn on you.
Whenever something isn't going 100% right, you know, Sammy kind of walks off and he says, yeah, the brothers, you know, the brothers are at it again. You can't win around here, you know? Of course, that's really some reverse psychology, because at that point I'm supposed to say, oh, no, no, not at all. No, 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 I disagree with Ed, man. I'm siding with you, Sam.
I've never met any 2 brothers or 2 musicians in a band, for that matter, that are just locked in just like that.
When we're playing live and the monitors are like really bad or something, Al and I do have this connection that even if we're both just blowing it, we seem to land on our feet together, you know? I mean, I've never really played with another drummer. That solo record, you know, it's like I write the majority of Van Halen music, and I couldn't imagine doing a solo record that would be any different than a Van Halen record, because I write the music, you know. I have no problem expressing myself within the band. Yeah. Most people want to do a solo record because they can't do what they really want to do.
Songwriting success has pushed their last 3 albums to the top of the charts, due largely to their far-from-textbook approach to music making.
It's actually not any kind of rocket science or brain surgery. We majority of the time, Alex and I and Mike get together and we just kind of jam, you know. I have my studio at home, you know, where we recorded our last 4 records, and we just lock ourselves up and play for like 8-9 hours and let a cassette roll, and if something comes out of it, we go, hey, let's work on that tomorrow, you know?
I get half my lyrical ideas from listening to a song and getting the lyrics wrong. And then I find out what they really said, and I say, oh, well, then I can use what I thought they said. That's good, you know?
Lyrical inspiration aside, recording the album is only half the battle.
I want to tell people, MTV is the most wonderful thing that ever happened to rock and roll, except it's the hardest work that rock and roll bands have ever had to do. You know, we're used to, at worst, a 2-hour show, right? When you shoot a video, and if it's a performance like that, you're performing for 17 hours.
Here we go.
20-foot platform that spun at 12 miles an hour. Now, something that big spinning that fast, when you're on the end of it, it almost threw you off.
My favorite ride's the ride where the floor drops out, you stick to the wall, right? So, no problem. So I did it, and I'm just like kind of moshing around the outside, and whoops, I slipped, and I almost like became part of the backdrop scenery.
But performing for cameras isn't the only thing that's thrown them for a loop. For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge is their first album conceived entirely in the recording studio, without the protection of rehearsal time.
The new record, you know, we wrote in the studio, and we did all the basic tracks and then sang to it. And it's like now I'm in rehearsal going, how do I play and sing at the same time? Because in the old days, we'd have all the tunes written, and we'd already performed them live at a club or somewhere before we actually recorded them. This time it's like, I'm going, how do I sing and play this at the same time? It's kind of like, you know, doing one of these things, chewing gum and roller skating at the same time, you know?
Yeah, actually, it's almost a shame that you couldn't record the record after you had been on tour. We felt that way every time you go out on tour, because you don't have to think as much about the song in terms of what you want to play, as opposed to just it flows and you play around with it.
The success of Van Halen through the years is a combination of musicianship, camaraderie, a sense of humor, and a love of rock and roll that just can't be faked.
It really is a heartfelt thing, and if the heart goes out of it, then it's a job. And then you're talking about a performance. And that, to me, is, I don't know, then you're acting. We're no actors. They get paid more.
We just went out and did a show where I walked out and just sang the song and walked off. I get nothing from that.
When I hear us on the radio, I go, you know, I get the goosebumps and the fur goes up, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, you know, it's exactly the same as it used to be.
When I get up there on stage and I got all this stuff blowing behind me, and I'm sitting there right on that one note, and everything's shaking, and my fillings are getting ready to fall out, I'm going, yeah, I like this.
I've never wanted to be a rock star. I've never wanted to do interviews. I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'd rather be playing my guitar and making music, you know? It's like, you know, it's like all the stuff that goes along with it, I'd rather do without, you know? If you think riding in a limo and doing interviews and your picture taken when you feel like you know what I mean? And you sit in the back of a car going like this with a guy who can't drive and doesn't know where he's going. If you think that's great, then go ahead and be a rock star, you know? I'd rather just stay home, make music, you know?